Today, I want to say you are lying to yourself if you think leadership is about logic or emotion. Hi, I'm Inkem. I love to simplify things, whether it's breaking down complex ideas or complex concepts or finding clarity in chaos. I believe simplicity gives each and every one of us an edge. I've been a toxicologist now in the corporate world for over half a decade, and I've learned so much in that time that leadership isn't just about data or instinct, it's about balancing both emotion and logic. So, in today's video, I want to share why this balance is critical, how emotional intelligence kind of fits in there, and maybe share some practical strategies to improve your decision making as a leader. And when I say this, I don't say this as just to guide you in like a workspace or a professional space, but from the angle of I believe that anybody who can fully competently lead themselves can competently lead other people. So in life in general, every decision carries a certain level of weight. Over time, I've really come to see that fear can make us overly cautious. It holds back our innovativeness, our creativity, while unchecked optimism can also lead to risky decisions without deep proper analysis. I believe that both extremes can harm progress regardless. When I think through things like this, I wonder what kind of solution do we have in a situation like this? And my response to that is first things first, emotional intelligence. When we develop a high level of emotional intelligence, I think that we are better able to manage our emotions and in order to be able to guide us to think a little bit clearer and make a little bit just slightly better decisions. So let me give you an example. Think about a team where the team leader's emotional stability keeps everyone really relatively calm during a tough project versus a time when emotional outbursts just create unnecessary stress. The difference in both scenarios is quite significant because people are able to adapt and people are able to pivot when things aren't going well under a calm situation than a situation where it's just high stress. So now when we imagine ourselves in the position of that leader and we are just trying to navigate our own life, it gives you that thought process gives you a clearer idea of how best to navigate things. I started this video saying it completely outstands me how we can very easily just lie to ourselves. There is a portion of ourselves that really don't want to be accountable. We don't want to take responsibility for situations. It seems almost easy to push things over to the next person than to just grab the bull by the horns and say, okay, this is where I messed up, this is where I made a mistake, and this is where I can grow from it. I'm a firm believer in the idea that once emotion walks in the door, logic flies out the window. Our emotional state more often affects morale, it affects motivation, it affects drive, it impacts productivity, innovation, it stifles our own internal creativity. While irrational or unfair reactions can often create a certain level of fear and uncertainty, even within ourselves. But when we think about emotionally balanced leaders, and when I say leaders, I really want you to think of yourself as the leader. An emotional balanced leader fosters trust and safety and inspires not just their team to perform their best, but also inspires themselves too, if that makes any sense. And here is the major kicker. The emotional tone set by an individual doesn't just shape the team or the environment that they are, it defines the entire culture around them. both internal and external. And this type of culture influences how engaged an individual is, their retention, and even how, I want to use business slang here, how other external stakeholders perceive the individual, the business, the company, whatever you want to call it. If you see yourself as a business of one, if you see yourself as a company, as a brand, I think that again, it's always looking at things from a different perspective that gives us a different view. And it helps us really assess things, think outside the box. My main thing here is leading by example. How you speak to yourself most often would translate into how you speak to other people. Same thing with, if you know how to lead, if you can relatively lead yourself, you know how best others can lead you. I don't know if that makes any sense. But my main thing here is lead by example. Lead yourself by example. Let other people see how you are able to, how best they can lead you. Started this channel, I started because I wanted to create an avenue where individuals, everyone, myself most especially, can document how I'm growing, not just professionally, but either emotionally, psychologically, just in different avenues. One overlying theme has been how I speak to myself, how you speak to yourself is a very, very important quality in somebody who's going to be leading people, or who is going to be, we all lead ourselves. So I think it should be a premise for just everyone as a basic human learning lesson. Lead by example. Another critical aspect of finding the balance between emotion and logic is truly understanding your strengths and your weaknesses. If I can be honest, many times we fail at this, and it's often because we rely too heavily on assumptions rather than observation and just pure straight up honesty. And this really matters because when we don't understand our own limitations or our own capabilities, we risk spending time on useless stuff. Like, we just assign tasks to the wrong places. We spend time inefficiently. We miss particular opportunities that we normally wouldn't have missed. And when I think about it on the flip side, as a leader, when you take the time to kind of like uncover the strengths of yourself, your team members, and I'm mixing back and forth. When we take the time to actually hone in on that, we're better able to uncover strengths. We can better delegate more effectively. We can put things in the right spots, like in the right place where they need to go. That way you are more effective. There's nothing like just being effective when it comes to finding the right balance with things. When we have that balance, we're better able to trust ourselves. We are able to build trust with other people. Our communication gets better, and we're able to truly honest feedback, not just to individuals externally, but to ourselves, and maybe even take that assessment and grow from it. I say all that to say, or actually to flip it back on you and to ask the question, how do you handle finding your own balance between your emotion and logic, particularly when it comes to decision making and tough, stressful situations, and in just developed as a human being? I would really like to know. So please feel free to send me your feedback. We can start a dialogue on this and just kind of like build up from there. So until next time, feel free to share your thoughts on this, your experience with leading others, or even just leading yourself, how you identify strengths and weaknesses of the people around you, your team, yourself. Let's start the dialogue. Take care.